All right, here we go, everybody. Welcome to episode number 91 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday, April the 10th. My name is Jeremy Lee, and here we go. What a great show we have tonight. We've been on a little bit of a streak here, and it's certainly going to continue. I do want to thank last Saturday's guest, Tim Getch from ComC. We had a great episode. What can I say? The guy came here, he faced some of the music, and I was really happy to have him. He's a great guy. I also want to thank last week's After Hours episode, Milan Obradovic. He came on. He's an ex-Kobe Bryant collector, currently a Derek Jeter collector, told his story. It's an inspirational story. What a great guy he is. Check out those episodes along with all the other past episodes of Sports Cards Live. They are on the YouTube channel. You'll find something that interests you. I can promise you that. Next Saturday, our guest will be Eric Doty. He is the CEO of Loop, the app. Looking forward to having him and learning all about what Loop is and what their plans are moving forward. I want to welcome all new viewers. If you're new here, this is Sports Cards Live. We go live every Saturday night at 10 o'clock Eastern, and I bring you the best guests in hobby content. Check it out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. I want to thank all the subscribers. We are over 2,600 strong right now, so thanks to each of you. I also want to shout out the podcast listeners. There's hundreds of you guys too. I thank you. I know you're listening, not watching, but really happy to have you guys along for the ride as well. I want to shout out the Big Three Hockey, great supporters of the channel and the show. Thank you to them. And I want to let you know that tonight on After Hours, which is a separate show later on, it's going to start probably 10 or 15 minutes after this show with Ken Goldin is over. I'm going to be coming back with Chase Rhymes. He is a very sophisticated collector, investor in the category, in the sport, in the hobby, and I'm looking forward to having him on with me later on tonight. Okay, let's get to tonight's guest. And, usually I do a bit of an introduction, but this guy doesn't need much of an introduction anymore. He's very well known. You all know who he is. He's doing his Instagram lives with his son Paul on a regular basis. Let's just bring him out right now. Ken Goldin, welcome to the show. Welcome to Sports Cards Live. How are you doing tonight?
I'm glad to be here and doing good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, you're welcome. So the last time you were on with me was last August. It was 3 days before you sold the Mike Trout card for $3.8 million. The hobby was hot then. I mean, back then the hobby was hot last August. But the last 7 or so months, I mean, what's been going on, man? How have you seen the last 7 months of the hobby?
Well, to put it in perspective, back on that date, a Jordan rookie was probably about $75,000, and a Kobe refractor was probably about $75,000. So it's been crazy. It's really been. I thought that was back then. I thought, wow, this is hot. This is the peak of what's going on. And, it kept growing and growing. And then through the end of the year, it was just unbelievable. October, we set a record. Goldin Auction set an industry record. We did a $16.5 million auction. I mean, had never been done before. The only auction that ever beat that was the week-long Sotheby's auction of Barry Halper collection back in 1999. And, we thought that was, just unbelievable. Then 2021 came, and we did a $33 million auction in January. We did a $45.2 million auction in February. And last week we ended one, I think it was $38.5 million. So the industry has been booming. Our user base, and we're starting from a big base. That's what you got to realize. We were not a small company in 2020. Our user base is probably about 35 to 40% larger today than the last time I was on the show. So it's not like going from 1,000 to 1,300. This is like a big number going to a much bigger number. So the hobby is very healthy. It is worldwide. It is growing in different sports. Soccer is taking off. In our last auction, we set the record for the highest price, not only PSA 9 Wayne Gretzky OPG rookie, but we also set the record for the highest PSA 8 Wayne Gretzky OPG rookie. So people are really diversifying. It's just amazing. Wrestling cards, golf cards, obviously, basketball, baseball, football, but it's very, very healthy from the top end to the bottom end. And oh, by the way, I know we'll get to it, but oh, by the way, I made some new friends along the way, like Mark Cuban, Dwayne Wade, Kevin Durant.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get
yeah,
there.
exactly. All now part of the business with me.
That's it's exciting, man. So in terms of the size of the hobby and how much the increase you're talking about, you mentioned last time that your mailing list. Let's hear about your email list, because I mean, I think last time you said, I forget the exact number, was it 50,000, 500,000? It was a big number of emails that you send out. How has your email list grown since last summer?
We're looking at 600,000 plus right now. And it's tremendous, and people are, they're looking for everything on a daily basis. We get new people who are just looking to buy something for $100, $200, and we also get people who contact us, have never bid with us before, and they say they need unlimited because they want to bid on a 7-figure card, and they've never their first bid basically with us is a 7-figure item. Since the last time, one of the big changes is I discovered social media since the last time I was here. I mean, I think my daughter probably set me up for an Instagram account maybe 5-6 years ago. And I think my first post was of her. And she was like 16, and she wrote favorite daughter, blah, blah, blah. Like she wrote the post for me, and she wrote it herself. I've got 3 daughters. And I probably had like 117 followers. Right now, about to hit 27,000 on Instagram, and I have shocking to me, I have 1 million views on TikTok. So it just shows you that, and I'm not dancing, I'm not Charlie, I'm not doing the dances out there. I'm talking about trading cards. I'm showing trading cards. I'm talking about cards. It just shows you how popular, our hobby has been. I mean, you don't know this is coming, so you don't know. But this is from 1988, okay? And this is the company I was in with my dad, and I found this looking for some stuff because they kept saying, "Hey, can find some old pictures of you." But that's my father, and he's sitting in a warehouse with 1987 top sealed cases, probably 2,000 of them. But and that was like the big business back then. But to me, it's always I grew up doing this stuff, 12, 11, 13 years old. So it's just incredible that was such a small niche market is now pop culture.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Okay, so before we get into the business side of things, there's 2 things I want to do. I want to say hello to the crowd, and then we'll get to the other one shortly. But I just want to welcome everybody. We have Hockey Cobb in the house. Also, Steve Sir, welcome to you. 23 Ernest says Jeremy always brings the best guests. Thank you very much, 23 Ernest. Rocco Rosado is back. Good evening to you, Rocco. What does he say? Let's get ready for the precious metal show as Jeremy applies his golden touch tonight, and Ken's bring us a golden. Thank you, Rocco. We got B. Roy in the house. We got Matt 14K. Card Canucks is here. Charles, welcome. Bobby Baseball, another Saturday night of Sports Cards Live. Dennis Lescombe, loyal viewer, thank you for joining. David Farmer is here. Jeremy Pringle, Cardboard Max, Ryan O'Hara, Jeff McMahon. Hello, everyone. Looking for another great show. Thank you, Jeff. Jose Prado, good evening. See, look at this, Ken. We're going up against WrestleMania tonight, and right now we're winning. Thank you, Jose Prado.
Wow.
We got Sanderson DeOr. We got my buddy Daniel's in the house. Terry Fortune is here. We got the Hobby Cop. Always listen on podcast. First time live. I love hearing that. Welcome, Hobby Cop. Great to have you live. We got Chad Shipper in the house. Benny Wu. Who is Chase? You'll find out tonight on After Hours. Stick around. Jason,
tell Chase I said hi.
Tell Chase he said hi.
Chase. Yep.
Well, he's watching right now, so he says hi back, I'm sure. I hope he has a smile on his face. We got Jake from 90s B-Ball Cards. Good evening, Jake. Repping Rajan in the house. We got LG. We got Joey Tribbiani in the house. Greg Novus. Kent Wong, my man. What do we have? We have Lappers Hockey. Hello, finally catching a live on Good Day. Ken, keep advocating and pushing the hobby mainstream. There you go. David Farmer wants to see some top cards. I did ask Ken to bring out a couple. We'll see later on if he did. I don't even know yet. Roy G, good evening to you. David Farmer, like the last show with Milan. Here's Ryan O'Hara says, what does Ken think about hockey card market moving forward? Are you seeing many hockey cards consigned to him? Let's take a little break and ask you to address this question, Ken.
I think hockey's on the rise. I think that based on the the Gretzky sales at the 2 cards at 7 figures certainly helped. And you saw what happened with hockey. On a Friday night, a record was sent on the OPG Gretzky, and then on Saturday night, we broke that record. But what was amazing to me is I think we got like 44,000 or something for an 8. And what typically happens is when you get big numbers, like we got $550,000 from Maradona. So everybody with soccer cards all of a sudden can sign stuff. So whenever we put up a big number, we're getting it. And here's the other thing. What I've done back when I met you last time, it was myself, it was Dave Ammerman, Johnny Krause, and Steve Lucas. So we basically 4 people. I now have more than doubled my consignment staff, and I've tried to get people who specialize. I've got Ryan Krupa, who knows hockey very well. I've got Jared Mast, formerly ran everything for Iconic, and the guy's a whiz. He knows, like, I tell him to give me 4 favorite categories, and I say, I know you're going to say them all, but he knows everything. I've got
I know Jared. I know Jared very well, actually. Well,
okay.
Not very well, but we've spent lots of time together.
Carlos Citabello is working for me now, and Arturis is working for me now. So I hired Art, Carlo, Ryan, Jared. I've doubled
that's
the
a question later.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
But hockey's on the rise. I'm very happy.
Good. That makes me, hockey's my first love, so I love to hear that. Keeping on, but we're going to keep going. We got Amish Dave Archer in the house, Corey Carr. We got David Farmer. Our NASCAR is going to be in the hobby. They are in the hobby. There are more products coming out, I understand. We got Rich Frank, Sanderson Deore. Can't imagine how many views you would get if you did dance. I think that's pretty funny. Scott Fiskus, good evening. We got Victor from All Time Greats blog. Colin Murray's here. JPO Art, how's it going? Jeremy and Ken, happy to have you. JPO, Bobby Burrell in the house. Triple V. We got Joe Woodington. Rodman Martinez, one of my buddies, says Saturday is not a Saturday without Sports Cards Live. Thank you so much, Rodman. Stephen Ho. Hi, Jeremy. Never bid with Goldin before. Look forward to bidding there soon. I'm sure you will. Lots of cards right up your alley, Stephen. Okay, we got Eastridge. We got Brent Criswell, David Owens. We got Orb. We got, and Yamwax is in the house. Great to see you, Yam. Okay, the next thing I want to do, Ken, is I want to know, before we get into the business side of things, we have to talk about your celebrity son, Paul.
Yeah.
Because
he's asleep.
He's asleep now. That's okay. But he's, you have him on, you have your breaks with him, Paul's breaks, you do that. What's your strategy there? And what do you think we can do to make sure in terms of the longevity of the hobby, how can we get young kids involved now?
Sure. So let me tell you how this started. About a couple of years ago, you can see me. I bring home work a lot, and I've got stuff here, and I've got, a lockdown room in my basement where I keep all my stuff. So especially during COVID, when we were locked down in New Jersey, I couldn't go to the office. So I basically told people with consignments, hey, ship them in raw cards. Ship them to my house. I'm going to break them down. So I sit there, lock myself in. He wants to see, and he's looking at the cards, and he's knowing these players. He's knowing the 2003 basketball players from Exquisite. He's knowing the 52, 50 top. Oh, I know Mickey Mantle. I know Jackie Robinson. So he knows all this stuff. And then he said, I want you to buy me packs. I want you to buy me packs. And when it started, he was 6, and now he's 7. It's been going on for a while. And what we did was every day, because couldn't do anything, I literally went and I bought like a box a day. And I called, I've got friends in the hobby. One of my friends runs, good friend to have, MJ Holding, which of course distributes to Walmart, and Tom Fish of Blowout Cart, Adam of Dave and Adams. So I said, guys, I need cards, order cards. So as a treat, we did a box a day during COVID. And then Paul wanted to make videos, and he just, did videos. He did 2 types of videos: gaming videos and then card videos, where he'd open up packs and talk about every player. So I said, let's try this on Instagram Live. So we tried one day, and this is like last winter, and then we just opened up a box a day, every day, and like he loved it. And all of a sudden, the people loved it, and they loved this little 6-year-old kid, now 7, opening up the packs and saying, "Trash, he's good, he did this. Oh my God, I got this guy," and like getting excited. And I think it's very. At one point, we did, I think, like 72 days in a row, we both busted up a live box on Instagram for like during last winter, like 72 days in a row. But he had a kid over today. He had a friend over the house. Played outside with masks, and Paul said, "Can you give me a box of basketball cards? I want to trade." And in the back of my mind, my immediate thought is, Paul, you are going to have better basketball cards than whoever you are going to trade with, because Paul, of course, the last thing that Paul broke open was, let me see if this is, so this is the box of Prism that he just opened up. So it's not a typical thing. So, "Oh, I'm watching you trade, trying to find something you can give," but the kids like it, and the other kid's 7 too. So I mean, I think I think what has to happen with the manufacturers, I've said this, is I would like, almost, you can't require them to do it, but I'd like them to pick a brand and basically say, tell the distributors, this is the maximum price you're allowed to sell it at. Sell it at look, us as adults, us as dealers and investors, we're going to know, hey, they're going to make a lot of this product. So we're probably not going to go out and buy $10,000 of it and put it there and put it away for 2 years, hoping it goes up significantly. But have affordable boxes with nice hits, with nice autographs for the kids. Get them excited, and tell the distributors, guess what? You can't quadruple the price before the day it comes out, and just set something as an introductory. So the kids can get into it, because it is cool, it is fun, and you see the excitement, on Paul's face, and people learn his nuances. Like, he likes the autographs and the jersey cards more than he does, like a parallel prism. It's not like getting the parallel. And I kept saying, turn the card over, you're going to see it's numbered. So I think that it is something that the kids love. And I will tell you, my first set of kids, my daughters were 21 and 24. Kids their age, when they grew up, they didn't care about this stuff. When the kid's 21, they may be into it now, but when they're 7, 8, 10, they weren't into it. They were into only video games. This is really big for them. So this is like really important, because it enables us to have a foundation where we can build upon people growing up as trading cards as part of their not only childhood, but part of their tradition, part of their family tradition. And I get so many people from around the world that tell me, that people can sign because they see me opening up cards with my son. People tell me, "Oh, I love Paul. I do this and I do that." It's great. But I think that getting them into it at a young age, and don't worry about the value. Don't worry about the cost. And look, I get some idiots all the time say, "Hey, your son didn't treat the card. That's, the card well." I tell them, like, be careful with the cards. And and I've got a 3-year-old. She likes opening up cards, and when she goes, I go out, and I've got like junk wax all around my office. I keep junk wax, and so, and I hate, they're going to be offended by the fact I call this junk, but we know what it is. So it's 91, 92 Upper Deck basketball. Okay. So if Carly's around or could be there, and something can get damaged, I'll open up the 91, 92 with the 3 of them. But let them experience the joy of it. Let them, read the names. Let them learn about the history. Let them see what a hit is. These type of things. It's gonna grow, and it's gonna be important. And that's why I do it. I started doing it because he was bored, and it was a treat for him to open up the cards. And I actually part of the reason why I don't do it every single day anymore is I don't want him to get, I want him to realize that it is a treat, that it is something special, that you're not going to, until you're 16 years old, your dad's not going to buy a box of cards, and you're not going to open up every single day. I want it to be special.
Well, I hope that the fact that you're doing this with Paul and you've got lots of people watching inspires other people to open up, even if it is junk wax type of cards, because that's how we grew up, opening up packs, looking at the fronts, reading the backs, cherishing them to some degree, and some of us just playing, throwing them against the wall for sport. But
Yep.
Okay. It's great. I love what you're doing with him. I think it's awesome. And I know a lot of people love it too. And to the people who say to you that he's not treating the cards well, I mean, it's okay. Cards, it's meant to be a fun thing. Okay. Let's get on to business now. So you took on an investor group. They injected, I think the number is $40 million into Goldin Auctions. Is that the right number? Approximately?
It's the number that we announced publicly. Yes.
Fair enough. Okay, so my questions are, number one, how did this come about? And you alluded to it earlier, but who is this investor group made up of? But how did it come about is really what I'm curious about.
What happens is, and as everybody here, look, if you do not know who I am, I'm the founder and chairman of Goldin Auctions, and been doing this my whole life. And I would strongly suggest, if you do nothing else, go to Instagram and follow me, follow at Ken Goldin Instagram, because you're going to see some really big cards. You're going to see a lot of videos and whatnot. So, what I do, and I've always done since I started the business in 2012, is I believe, I want to grow my company, and I've always felt the two ways to grow my company. One is do a better job than all of my competitors, and the second way is to build the pie. Okay, if the base of collectors continues to grow, it's going to be natural that some of that business is going to come to me. So I've gone out and I've tried to do a lot of media events. I've been on CNBC, I've been on Fox Business, I've been on ESPN, Good Morning America, everywhere you possibly can imagine. So as I got a lot of publicity in 2020, once a week I'd get some investor group, some venture capitalist, equity fund, or an individual saying, I'd like to invest in gold, I'd like to invest in gold. And then as the records grew and grew and grew, and especially after the drought, all of a sudden, wow, baseball card for 3.9 million, it came even more. So, most of the people I just said, no, I'm not, no, thank you, is standard. And I got an email and I replied, no, thank you. But then something in the last sentence of the email caught my eye. And it was that we were the founding investor of Barstool Sports. Okay. I said, oh, I know Barstool Sports. So I went back and I read his email and I contacted him. And at that time, I was working on my first auction with Sotheby's. And Sotheby's had signed something with me where they were interested in acquiring Goldin Auctions. And then, so I'm going to tell you the whole story here. We may cut some other stuff, but this is like the whole story. And I hope NDAs expire. Nobody watches this, right? So there you go. So I had Sotheby's and I had these people, and it was called the Churning Group. So I spoke to Matt Brown, who had contacted me. I said, this is interesting. And he says he's looking at the business and, he really likes what we do. And so I got on a Zoom with him, and what I do with people is, if I even have a mild amount of interest, to make sure it's not some generic mass mailing, I said, tell me what you know about me. Tell me what you know about the company. And he proceeded to rattle off every big sale. He proceeded to talk about what I did when I was 22 and 23 years old, which meant they did their research. I said, okay. I said, send me, he goes, do you want to send an NDA? So he sent me an NDA. So we went back and forth about different things, about what they want to do. And their vision was content. Basically, we want to create great content and drive people to the trading card industry. We want to create great content, drive people to your auction. And they said, in a perfect world, and they used Dave Portnoy as an example. They said, in a perfect world, we'd want you to do everything you love, and we want you to do nothing about everything you don't like.
Yeah.
Which sounded good to me. I don't necessarily like managing 20 employees, let alone probably in 3 months, there'll be 100 employees. If I can promote my business, I love getting consignments. I love going into people's houses and finding all the great stuff they have. So concentrate on all that type of stuff, concentrate on PR. So we negotiated back and forth. And then I heard from another company while this is going on, a 4-letter word company. And they wanted to invest in Goldin. And my cousin, who does M&A for a living, told me that if you work with them, you will want to shoot yourself in a couple of years. So I went down the path with Churning Group. We worked out a deal that I thought was reasonable. And as part of it, they were going to bring in a superstar group of investors. So we worked out the deal at the very end of last year, and then we brought in additional people throughout early in the year. And some of the people that took place in the, I'll call it the initial $40 million, because there has been some activity since then, but it's not public. Some of the well-known are, Kevin Durant, Mark Cuban, David Blitzer, who owns the 76ers, Dwayne Wade, Adam Bain, one of the original founders and COO of Twitter, Chad Hurley, who founded YouTube, a name that many sports cards collectors are going to know because he's a venture capitalist and friendly with Elon Musk, Bill Lee. Now some names that haven't been released yet. Venus Williams, Dak Prescott, TJ McCullough, Blake Griffin, Timbaland has been now that people know that, but he did a live with me where he showed that he bought a Jordan rookie. And Mark Wahlberg. I'm really bad at this. There's a lot of them, and the first, and it was cool because all of a sudden they said Dwayne Wade wants to Zoom with you. Okay, Mark Wahlberg wants to Zoom. I'm like, Mark Wahlberg wants to Zoom with Ken Goldin. What's going on here? And what's funny is that the people at Chernin said that they've done a lot of these things, and they said they never saw Zooms like this. These guys were like, fans. They were like, thought that to them that they were trying to buy a stock, and they were talking to Warren Buffett, and they weren't paying Warren Buffett anything. They were getting like a free hour of Warren Buffett's time. So, to me, I enjoy it. It's great. And there is more news to come. I'll just mention that, but we have very, very, very big plans, and the major goal of everything was to bring in content to my business, content to the hobby, because that's what these guys do. Bring in technology, which is why we have somebody who, a Google executive, a Facebook executive, a Twitter executive. We brought in a CEO who had a Google and Twitter background. That's why we, and then to create a new platform that, and look, let's face it, I've been doing, and Goldin has been doing everything we have, but the software was originally created in 2003. So we've got a prep platform, and it's I know the faults. I know that I generate 25 to 50 times the traffic that anybody else who uses their software generates. So sometimes it causes problems. That will be solved next month. And the new platform will be up, and it's worth the wait. But that was really what it is, to ensure that we can better serve our customers, to ensure we've got a technology platform that is second to none and that can handle millions of transactions, and be able, therefore, to expand our base where we can not only service the quote unquote ultra wealthy, we can also service the individuals who are going to sell something from $50 to $500.
I was going to ask you what the plan was for the capital injection, and is it mostly to go to the new platform, or can you speak to where that $40 or so million is? How you're putting that to use?
Well, obviously, they bought stocks. Obviously, some of that went to me.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, and the capital is all in scaling up. We're about to make an announcement next week. We've hired a number of positions. A head of customer service, a head of business development, a head of consignments, a head of content, a chief technical officer, a chief product officer, and we are building multiple technology-based systems, not only for a marketplace, but for pricing algorithms, for video content, for tracking software, for insurance, everything, anything, inventory, anything and everything to cater to the collectors is what we're doing. And we had 12,000 square feet, and we just leased 13,000 square feet next to us, which we're moving into, expanding into by the end of this month. So all of that's, that's capitals. Basically, I went from 21 employees to about 21 employees at the end of last year, about 60 now, and probably 80 by July.
So technology, a little bit for your own pocket, some working capital, some scaling, everything you need to grow the business. All right, man. Sounds
Exactly.
good. The new platform, let's talk about that for a second, because I was under the impression we were going to see that already by now.
Yep. Me
And
too.
I know things never happen as planned, but can you just speak to, you say next month, is this a for sure? Are you certain, or is it possibly going to be a bit longer? Like, what do you think?
I truly believe by the end of May it will be up and running. I would say with 100% confidence by the end of this quarter it will be up and running. I'm told that there's a lot of things. You got security issues. You got to look at. You got to try and hack it. You got to try and breach it. You have to connect it to payment systems. I may say things I want, like for example, I want an offer. We've sold now. We've sold over 300, 52, 50, probably we're closing in on $400 million worth of sales in our history. So I want to feature on every single one of those items that, if something's not an auction, you saw something sold 2 years ago and you'd like to buy it, or you missed out an auction a week ago, you can click a button and make an offer to the owner. So that's a feature we're putting in. We want to have different sections to run different areas. So there's a lot of, as things build, we find what's missing, and they tell me technology is you can't rush tech. My original hope was that it was going to be the end of February, and then April, but I'm highly, from what I've seen, I'm highly confident in the late May launch.
Okay. So I'm gonna, I like to under promise and over deliver. So you said by the end of Q2. So for my personal expectations, I'm going to hope we see it by July 1. You know what I mean?
Okay.
By the end
That
of
would be
Q2.
great. That would be great.
Okay. So you've set out this vision, I believe, because we've talked about it. I've heard you talk about it, to kind of take on eBay as being one of the premier marketplaces for sports cards.
Yep.
We have a question here. Brent Criswell says, are you going to try to outdo eBay and be the main marketplace for sports cards only? But I think that's one of your goals. That may be very grand, but how are you going to measure that? At what point are you going to know that, yeah, we are on track to reach this goal?
I would say when we dramatically increase, a couple of metrics. First of all, when our average price point goes dramatically down, because that means that we are servicing a lot more cards that are driving the price down. I would say that when we have a user base that really is quadruple where we are now, because the users we have now are mostly tailored to, even if I go in the low end, $500 and up, for us to really penetrate that market, we have to have significantly more users that are going to want to buy the $50, the $75, the $100 items. And, and we might go to two different ends of the platform. We might literally, like, or we call our top auctions Goldin Elite. So we might have literally one Goldin Elite portal, which is for the higher end stuff, and then just a Goldin marketplace for everything else, so that people can go to one. And if people are in a quote unquote elite auction, they don't feel it's cluttered, as some people may have called it, with a bunch of lower end stuff. And I actually did this. Right now, we launched yesterday the April premium card auction, and that's what I did. Last auction we had 2,500 lots. This time I think we've got 900. There's no duplication. There's no 2 or 3. And these I do take feedback, by the way, and I want to let everyone know that I take feedback. I listen. Last auction, if you typed in probably Zion, you may have gotten 75 results. This auction, you type in Zion, you may have 11 results. So we're going to really make sure we cater to our consigners and keep their type of product limited, which is why when we get the new platform, we can put all the other ends, other items on, on a different section, where if people don't want to see that stuff, it's not cluttered. But obviously volume. I mean, look, last year eBay did $2 billion. Look, this year 100, 138. Where am I now? Right now, we're over $140 million, and it's April 10th. So I don't know that I'm going to keep that pace. Let's say I'm not going to keep that pace. Let's say I do $350 million. Okay. That's a decent percentage of what eBay does. And for a small company, I'm sure eBay is 1,000 times my employees. But what the main things about eBay, the main things about what we want to do that would give us and give the people who use us, but both buyers and sellers, an advantage over eBay are number one is the vetting. Okay, you're not going to have bidders at Goldin who own their own items. You're not going to have bidders at Goldin who are bidding without the intention to pay, especially on high-end items, because we credit check everybody, we identity check everybody, all these type of things. So if you sell something, you're going to get paid. If you buy something, you're not going to get the shaft. I mean, if you buy something, you're going to be in a position, okay, fine, I know I bid against real bidders. I know that the product is in a central location. I know that if I pay somebody, I don't have to worry that I'm going to get the wrong product. I don't have to worry that somebody's going to give me, if there's something crazy like a counterfeit holder, which is an occasional problem in our industry, they're going to take it back, no questions asked. All these type of things are assured. It's the same type of reason why people like buying from Amazon. The convenience. I can go to Amazon. I know I'm going to get it. I know it's going to be good delivery, and that's the type of service we want to provide. We're not going to be selling cars. We're not going to be selling laundry detergent on the same platform. We're going to have high resolution images, good descriptions on everything, customer service that's available. Like people can call us, and guess what? We answer the phone. We say, "Hey, Goldin Auctions." People email us. We actually reply to emails. People. I don't want to be off of this and see 200 direct messages on Instagram, but I've made it known that I actually respond personally to every single one. I don't have somebody do it for me. I have somebody respond to all my social media. I respond personally to all my social media. So there's different ways to contact us. And it's kind of like the way that StockX and GOAT took the majority of the sneaker market off of eBay. That's what we're looking to do for the sports card market.
Okay, man. I mean, it's a lot of information there, and it's a lot of detail, which I greatly appreciate. I think the viewers do too. Okay, couple of rapid fire questions here from the crowd. Okay, literally, we're going to do these quickly. Mr. LAGN says, what percentage of the purchases were done with Bitcoin?
Well, we just started accepting Bitcoin 2 weeks ago, and that's the other thing is that we now accept cryptocurrency. We do accept Bitcoin, we accept Ethereum, and it is it's I think it's going to be on larger purchases. It's not because of the timing and the currency. The way we work it is there's a 2-hour window. We tell people, okay, your purchase is this much in US dollars. You have 2 hours to complete it. If they miss the window, then we've got to do it a different day. So this way we lock in our currency risk, which is what we try to avoid. But right now it's less than 1%. I think as it goes out and as people learn about it, but the purchases have been higher end. Like we sold the Jay-Z card that sold for $134,000. That was a Bitcoin purchase. So I also think it allows consigners with ultra high end items the potential that there's some billionaire out there with $600 million stuck in cryptocurrency that wants to spend some of it and do it with Goldin.
Yeah, why not?
So maybe they overpay and you get a really good price as a result.
Yeah. Okay, next question from Hershey's Cards. Will Goldin ever start a fractional share division?
We currently have fractional share companies as our customers. They bid and they do private sales, and I would never rule anything out.
Smart. Okay, let's move along. The next thing I want to talk about are the buyer profiles. Like, who are the customers? Who are buying these cards right now? So, a couple of things on that. Number one, again, who are they? Are they committed to the hobby long term? And you're on the front lines. Are they collectors? Are they investors? Are they diversifying their portfolios? What's their exit strategy? What can you let us know about the profile of the buyers? And how many people out there are actually spending 6 and 7 figures on a card? Is it is there a dozen people? Is it under 100? Is it hundreds? Is it thousands? give us some insight, because I know that if anybody knows, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
You know the profile of these people that are driving the upper end of the hobby. Never mind
Mm-hmm.
the fractional companies. We know that they're buying cards from you and other auction houses
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
we see them turn them around and offer them
Yeah.
on their platforms.
Yep.
Profile of the buyers. I asked you this last time, and I'm just assuming that now there's so much more action that you might have a bit of a more
Mm-hmm.
evolved answer.
Okay. So the first answer I'd give is I would believe, as far as people with the ability and willingness and history of spending $100,000 or more on a trading card would be over 1,000. Okay, so it's probably a broader market than people think. So there's definitely over 1,000 that would buy, have spent or would spend or the ability to spend. A lot of what we have, a lot of the buyers that we have, it's a strong repeat business, and that's what makes me really comfortable. Is that the same guy I can look and see with a $600,000 invoice in my last auction had a similar but probably less expensive invoice in 2019, and a similar, but less expensive invoice in 2015. So these are people who have been doing it for 5 or 6 years, and as the prices have gone up, have they churned the collection over to a degree? Yes, they have. They've gotten to different things, but you have different types. I mean, you can't say one buyer. There are funds that are buying this stuff that are looking for alternate. There are many billionaires that are basically dipping their toes into it, and they may buy one card. They may, and the great thing about these people is, unlike most people I do business with, they all talk to me and they all want to talk to me. So like they'll ask me. Like I'll say, yeah, I've got this Brady coming up, or I've got this LeBron Exquisite coming up, or they'll talk about they'll talk about Michael Jordan. They'll talk about Kobe. They'll talk about others. So they actually communicate with me, so I know what they're looking for, and I know what they what they want, and I can give them at least my opinion on what I think. But so you've got that, you've got ultra wealthy, but a lot of it is really just people, professional, people who love this stuff. And then what's happened is we have a lot of wealth creation in our hobby. Okay, people who had, look, you wouldn't think that they were rich, but they had card collections and they had wax collections, and suddenly they have $3 million in inventory, or they have $5 million in inventory. So they were never really big spenders before, but now they are. And the other thing that they do is, a lot of those people, what they do is they see a grail that they always wanted and they buy it. Let's say, so let's spend $350,000 to get this card, and they won't write it. They won't write a check. What they'll do is say, okay, fine, I've got these 7 cards, or these 5 items, or these 10 items, and they'll consign, 10 items of lesser value but greater than the purchase, and they're basically constantly looking to upgrade their collection. Let's say somebody buys let's say something, like I've got somebody right now, they buy a 9 Gretzky, so they'll consign back an 8 Gretzky and a bunch of other stuff like that. So people are constantly, that's a lot of what you see in these auctions, is people that are also upgrading it. And then, then you've got a lot of new people that are just getting into it. I don't know much about them except to say, they all show, now I'm seeing crypto wallets. So people register and they say, I'd like unlimited bidding. And all of a sudden you see, they just show us a crypto wallet with $27 million in it. And, the trick I learned, from my new CFO, is that's great, but how do you know it's there? So we actually make a transfer or something from that crypto wallet, so we know that they control it.
Right. Smart.
So before we give them the bidding, but it is a lot of, it is a very, very, very diverse group. It's also worldwide. It's all over the place. People from, every day I see, emails come through where people sending us pictures of the passport because somebody in the credit department said, hey, we need to see your passport before you can bid.
Yeah. And in terms of like geography of these people, is it mostly North American? I mean, we know there's the international bidders. What can you tell us about that? How has that changed in the last year or so?
There are some days when I look at the bidding and we have, well, first of all, when we did the deal with Logan Paul, and we broke Pokemon, it was the craziest thing. I mean, I literally think I may have had thousands of people from the country of Denmark register. But I mean, I guess Logan Paul and Pokemon is really, really big in Denmark and Germany because we got a lot from there. But nowadays, I'd say basically, typically on a low of 10% to a high of 25%, because I look at my new registers every single day. And then the first thing I do is look at the country code. So I'd say between 10 and 25% of the new registers every day are from outside the United States. The usual suspects are Hong Kong, Macau, Philippines, Australia. Those are typically the big ones. And China. But specifically, Hong Kong is designated separately. Macau is designated separately. Philippines is for whatever reason is really, really big. China is really, really big. Australia is probably the single biggest. And then as we get into soccer, we do have South America, we have Africa, and we have a lot of Europe. And I'd say out of the 5 countries that we get outside of North America, United Kingdom would be in the top 5 as well.
Okay, that's interesting. And is a lot of that driven by soccer?
A lot of that is driven by soccer is the first, and basketball would be second.
Really?
Yeah.
Because basketball seems to be leading and driving the hobby from the macro perspective. Is that mostly then North American bidders?
No, basketball, it depends. Basketball is definitely an international sport. Mostly it would be US bidders versus Asia and Australia. And when it comes to basketball, it's not really a European thing.
Okay. And in terms of again, sticking on the buyer profiles, athletes and celebrities, I know you've talked about it. Some of your investors, I believe, are, and I actually wanted to ask you this in terms of the investors, and we'll segue from there. But in terms of the investor group, are any of these guys and gals, are any of them collectors as well? And are they buying cards at the auction, or are they simply just investing in Goldin auctions?
My investors to date have spent multi-millions of dollars in the past 6 months at Goldin auctions. The one I can talk about because people know he buys is Kevin Durant. I don't know why he hasn't released it yet, but there are several high-profile Kevin Durant cards that we've sold that he bought. There are other athletes, and then some of there are a lot of athletes are buying. There are active baseball players today with trading card collections that are in excess of $10 million. I'm not saying million, but in excess of $10 million. And they buy baseball and basketball. There's one who buys everything. One who buys soccer and everything else. This is an absolute whale. But yeah, the investors are buying. I won't mention the purchase, but one of my tech investors made what I would consider an unusual purchase because it wasn't like a standard card. It wasn't like a standard card from a standard sport. But it was a big purchase. But yeah, they are. I think they did it because they enjoy it. They see upside, and I think also they figured, okay, hey, fine, I'm in here, and I've got Ken to talk to. I tell all these guys, listen, I don't care if you buy it from me, but talk to me before you buy anything. Before you go to eBay and hit the buy it now for $276,000 on an item that I think is worth 80 grand. So just ask me. Ask me my opinion first.
So just in general, when it comes to this category of hobby participant, what's your gut feel? Are these guys, are they in it for the long term, or are they investors? Are they collectors? How do you see them when it comes to the investor collector dichotomy?
I think they're both. I think there's one guy who literally texts me videos of him. He bought an expensive case off my auction, okay, and then he sends me videos of himself opening the cards and getting excited when he one of them was a basketball case because he hit a pretty big Kobe card. So like he sent me a picture of him pulling the Kobe card out of one of the boxes. So I would say it's some investing, some collecting because they enjoy it, some wanting to share it with their kids. And some, honestly, I think some of it because they think that this is, it's kind of cool to basically say, they're not someone who's going to buy. They don't need to own 500 cards, but they want to own like 5 or 6 really good cards to say, yeah, I've got a great Jordan, I've got a great LeBron, I've got a great Trout, that type of thing. So just almost feel like they're relevant and part of conversation.
So, let's encourage them to get out there and share it, and help us go even more mainstream, because they have a lot of influence, of course. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the supply of high-end cards on the market right now and what we've seen in the past 6 or so months. So, I think some people have expressed some concern that some of these high-end buyers may be experiencing some buyer fatigue. And I don't know if this is speculation or firsthand information, but what can you say to that in terms of, are some of these people who are and were buying high 6-7 digit cards over the last, even in late January, we saw a lot of Goldin auction sales even as well. We've seen a lot, specifically, we've seen some big sales from Goldin in January and February. Are any of these buyers, from what you can tell, are they experiencing any buyer fatigue right now?
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say experience buyer fatigue. What I would say is that what happens is that you get a card that hasn't been seen in forever, and it hits a number that is so high that it kind of like rings the bell to other people who have that card, and they say, crap, that card's too expensive, I can't hold it anymore. It's just, I don't want to, because look, let's look at realistically. If you bought a card for $10,000 or $20,000 and the card sells for $700,000, you say to yourself in the back of my mind, back of your mind, by holding on to this card, it's kind of like me going out and buying it for $700,000 because I would never buy it for $700,000. I'd never buy it for 500. So you see more of them come to the marketplace. And I think that it's not buyer's fatigue from the standpoint, but there's more, the cards that people thought they would never sell, all of a sudden they're selling, and they have to be reaccumulated into the marketplace. They have to be they have to be distributed out to find a price equilibrium. So I don't think that the number of buyers has gone away, and the fact that people who spend money, believe me, they're spending more money now than they were 6 months ago. What you've seen on some of these cards is some of these holy grail once every 5-year cards, because a number hit so high or because there was such a spike, some people, okay, fine, that spike was too much, I need to sell that spike. Even if I love the card, I need to sell that spike. And you see it less on a 1 of 1 than you do maybe on a 1 of 10 or a 1 of 50 or a 1 of 309, like the Fleer Jordan.
So, in an effort to ensure that some of these, the high-end buyers, the whales of the hobby, that they don't experience buyer fatigue, how do you balance that? I mean, there's been a proliferation of auction houses, including Goldin, offering more cards every month, more rounds of auctions every month. And there's the supply of these grails, and you said, you explained why, but how does Ken Goldin balance that to, do you have any inclination to trickle out cards, or is it just like whatever comes in, we're going to list? How do you balance that for the long-term sustainability of all this?
Well, I can guarantee you, we do not go whatever comes in, we're going to list. As an example, at one point in time, I had 4 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle PSA 8 sitting on my desk. 4 of them. Okay. So you haven't seen 452 Mantle PSA 8s in an auction, have you? So, and this is what I try to explain. Okay. So right now I'm going to give people the landscape of the marketplace. So eBay as a whole did $2 billion last year. Okay. I'm going to be a little bit aggressive now. So eBay as a whole did $2 billion. Gold's on a pace of 500 million. And eBay out of that $2 billion may have had a small portion of the marketplace. Okay, a small portion, a certain portion of the high-end market. I think I had higher. So I would say that Goldin probably is over 50% of the high-end trading card market. I know, look, I know it because I talk to people. They're, outside of PWCC, I'm pretty friendly with all the other auction houses. And I know people's numbers. My guess would be that we are by far the largest this year. The two eBay, I think that Heritage is a distant second, and the two big eBay sellers are third and fourth. And between the four of us, we're probably like 90% of the high end market. So people, if you see something at Goldin, it doesn't mean it's quote unquote plentiful. What it means is that we have such a high percentage of that marketplace that people are giving us that stuff, and they should, because we have all the buyers that will do it. I think that some of the stuff, my personal opinion, is that the marketplace for basketball ran so hot for 18 months, because you don't see this in baseball. You don't see, people aren't complaining, the high-end hockey market, there's too much high-end hockey on the marketplace, or too much high-end soccer on the marketplace. Or they're not even complaining there's too much high-end baseball in the marketplace. What they're complaining about is too much Jordan, it's too much LeBron, it's too much Luka, there's too much Zion. You know me, I'm gonna talk straight. That's what they're saying. There's too much. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens is the Jordan rookie in particular went from 250, where it was constantly gaining momentum. And then all of a sudden on January 30th, we had two sales. Both cards went for $720,000. And it just, people's eyes popped out. And people who never thought that they would sell a PSA 10 Jordan, all of a sudden, they're all trying to sell the PSA 10 Jordan. They're all trying to take advantage of that marketplace. So you have maybe the population of Jordans didn't change. I've been watching PSA Prop Report. I think during this time, there's been one more card graded a 10 during all this time. So they've got a tight grip on that, and we can talk about that later. But so it's not like more of them were created, because no more were created, but it's just more people. It rang their bell and said, okay, fine, it's time to sell. So it's like a stock, like Tesla hits a peak, and people say, oh my God, I can't believe it went up 160 points in a day. And over the next 2 weeks, everybody sells, okay? And it goes down and down and down until it finds an equilibrium. And that's what I think happened with the 86 Jordan in particular. And I even said it on my live the 31st, where I said, I wish it didn't go for 7. I'm happy for my consigners, but I would have preferred a nice big sale of 400,000. If we had a nice big sale of 400,000, we would have been slowly going up over the past 2 months, instead of slowly going down. And then I think we hit a plateau. I think like at 425 we hit a plateau, because I sold 2 of them at 480 and 1 of them at 510 last week. So I think that it's hit that equilibrium. But that's what has to happen. Is it's not that people lose interest. It's not like there's more creative, because there's not. All of these cards are very limited. All of these cards, especially the numbered ones, you can all see the pop report. The problem comes in when the entire pop report is all of a sudden for sale at the same time. It doesn't mean the card's going to quote unquote crash. What it means is that people who wanted to buy that card are going to get their one opportunity to buy it for less than they would have been able to buy it 2 months ago, 3 months ago, or 4 months ago. And the people who took advantage of that are going to be happy. If you want to buy for the long term, you want to buy when these things happen, because again, it's not like they went back and it's not like they went back and reprinted the Luka Prism Gold. They did. There's still only 10 of them, but because a couple hit the market at the same time, the second one went for less than the first, and because you lost the bidder. So it's definitely not fatigue. What it is more choices and more high-end cards that become available. People have to choose a little bit more. And my viewpoint on that, if I can say something to people with 86 Fleer, if you own 86 Fleer, keep them. Legitimately, don't, next 30 days, next 60 days, don't contact any auction house to sell your PSA 8 Jordan rookies, or your PSA 7 Jordan rookies, or your PSA 9 Jordan rookies. Write down what I'm telling you right now. My personal opinion is those PSA 7s, those PSA 8s, and those PSA 9s are going to go for more in 90 days than they are today, because we saw a slide. I think that the slide is over. I think it hit what I believe is a bottom like 2-3 weeks ago. We saw in my auction those prices started to rise, and I had 3 of them, and I'm not doing that again. I'm not putting 310s in the auction again. You notice the one we have now, we have one. But I think that enough people said, okay, fine, this is a good level to buy, that that they can go back up. And if people can be patient and say, oh my God, I got, don't, whatever. I think a card like that, I mean, I love that wax, that particular wax to me is still my best buy in this marketplace. I'd buy it, tomorrow at the prices today.
So really, I mean, and the Jordan was the next topic, but we're into it now. And really what you're saying is the price swings that we've seen from 250 last year to 720 the end of December at your auction. Now we've seen 460, 460, 523. These are, I was going to say they're just typical market fluctuations, but really they're typical. It's supply and demand at work. And I heard a quote recently. I think it was on Instagram. Someone's story post said, it was quite clever. It said, demand meets supply. And it's exactly what you're saying, right? People are wanting to take advantage of that, of those $720,000 comps that were set at Goldin, and try to take advantage of that market. But all of a sudden, there's more cards offered for sale. And you just said, I mean, you've sold several since then, and now you're saying you're not going to put 3 up again. That's just, I guess it's not a great strategy. You've learned that, and you're going to move forward and kind of trickle them out slower, which I think is a good move. I commend you for that. I think we only learn from experience, and even as in tune with the hobby as you are, I commend you for taking that position and publicly stating that, we did that and we saw what happened, and now we're going to tweak it a little bit going forward. So I think that's a great move. Couple of comments here from the crowd. This one's pretty funny from Whisk Collectible. Says, I wonder how much trash talk there is amongst athletes regarding collecting. You can't even afford my rookie card. Like that. I think that's pretty hilarious. Global Sports says, my concern is sustainability of our amazing hobby. And Columbia says, I would say we're going to be sustainable at these levels for another couple years from what we are seeing. Joe says the law of supply and demand rings eternal. I think so. And here's a question, Card Porn. What do you think the correct price for the Fleer PSA 10 rookie card should be?
As I said, I think, look, this time last year, the card right now is probably about, let's give it a range. I'm going to give it a big range because I did see, I guess, Mile High. I think Mile High was probably the low. They were 422, but people don't go. That's the other thing. Don't go to an auction that specializes in 1940s or 50s cards, or don't go to an auction that specializes to a large degree in early 20th century and 19th century card and give them your shiny LeBron card or give them your Jordan rookie. It's stupid. I mean, I know it's like dumb, and some of the moves to me is like, why does this happen? I think the range is 435, 440 to 5.25 right now. I expect it to stay in that range for a while. I'd like it to see it stay in that range literally for like a year. I mean, let everybody who bought at 100 or under slowly pass it off. And what people don't know is I've sold about 18 Fleer 10s privately this year. Okay, and I'm doing that as best I can because I'm going to people who want to sell and say, hey, how about I place this for you? How about I place this for you? In this way, what it does, it takes the card out of somebody's hands who's into it cheap and puts it into somebody's hands who is into it in $500,000 range. So therefore, they're going to wait till it goes up higher. And but I think that, look, too many of those cards, the price, if there was a gradual escalation of the price, again, it went from $75,000 this time last year to $500,000. If I told everybody to go up 6.5, 7 times in value, from last time I was on, what I'm saying, this time last year the card was 40 grand. Okay, that's what you got to remember. This time last year the card was 40 grand. So when the price went up so much, too many people rushed to sell at the exact same time. Had it gone up more gradually, I think that you would have had. Continue rise. I think it would be higher today than it was in January. I believe that the correct price for the 86 Jordan right now is it has a 4 or a 5 in front of it. But I will tell you, there is one thing that can really spike those cards high. Okay, and like for example, right now we're advertising. I think the one we have right now is the nicest one we've seen. It's extremely well centered, and we put that in the description. So SGC has their gold label. Okay. Everyone listen to me very carefully. I want everyone to listen very, very carefully to what I'm about to say. SGC has their gold label. BGS has their black label. PSA has a 10. Nat Turner now runs PSA. Nat Turner is a brilliant business person and a really smart collector. PSA comes out with whatever their version is, and people go out, start looking for the best PSA 10s to try and upgrade to whatever this new thing will be. You're going to see 7-figure Michael Jordan rookies left and right, because we all know what would a BGS black label Jordan go for? I mean, right? It's going to go for a couple million easy. What would a PSA whatever label go for? And they're obviously, they're not going to cross BGS. They're not going to cross SG. The companies don't cross each other. They'd look at the best PSA 10s and see if they're eligible. So I think if and when something like that is announced, I think that is probably when you'd see the next price, bump up big on the Jordan. Right now, I'd like to see a stable market in Jordans, so see a bunch of sales with a 4 or 5 in front of it, and then, gradually go up from there.
Okay, yeah, it's an interesting answer. I mean, what I'm going to skip ahead to a question I was going to save for later, but I'm going to ask it right now. Before I do, though, I want to bring this up on the screen. 23 Aaron says, Ken is keeping it real. You never hear anyone say, "Don't send me your Jordan rookie cards." Good to see the truth. That's kind of what I was getting at earlier. So thank you, 23 Aaron, for that. The question I was going to get to later was, when a influencer that has millions of followers makes a public valuation on a card, and so I'm not speaking in code, but when Gary Vaynerchuk comes out and says that the PSA 10 Michael Jordan is going to be $1 million card, how much of an impact does that actually have on the value of that card? And does it have the power to move the market towards that $1 million? And do you think that particular exclamation that he made had an impact on those $700,000 sales at Goldin in January? Because I think he said it previous to that.
Sure. Okay. So first of all, he said it a week before the auction closed. Obviously Gary is a very successful and brilliant business person, and he's very passionate. And I can tell you from experience that he's very passionate about, about the business, about the industry. I actually spent a couple of days with him before the market took off in, what was it? I guess it was in the Chicago National in 2019. 2019. So he does love cards. He does collect them personally. He does love the industry. That said, Gary is used to being Gary. And whereas I tell my social media director of Goldin Auctions, I say, I don't want you to use the word invest ever on a post. I did it on a post once. I said, take that down. Don't ever use it. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I don't want to be touting investments. People ask me what I like or what I would buy myself, or what players I like, or what players I think other people like, or what cards I know people looking for. I'll answer. One thing I never do is I don't look at a card that's $10,000 and say, I think this is $100,000 next year. That's just not the way I do it. If Gary said it, he said it, I'm sure, because he believes it. What does it do to the value of a card if somebody says it's going to go to this? I don't think it does anything to the value of the card. And I'm emphasizing the word value. What does it do to a price fluctuation? It can certainly temporarily fluctuate the price. Okay, and I think that it definitely can temporarily fluctuate the price, and it can make a sale that would have been, in the $500,000 range and a great record-breaking sale, and just make it, cuckoo if you have two or three people who have so much money that they have, FOMO, fear of missing out, and they just pay whatever it is to make sure they're the winning bidder when the auction ends. And then obviously people see that price and people think, okay, that's not the new price where, that's a new price where it might not necessarily be the new price. It might be a price where you had two yokels or four yokels in this case, because you had two different winners, go up. And again, that's, it can, anything can accelerate, just like, just like any celebrity going out with, who has 100 million followers, says something, if some of their followers go out and buy it, and, it increases demand. It definitely, at least short-term, increases demand. And I think that, that certainly could, also the flip side is, like, it's a lot easier to take a $500 card and say, I think this is worth 5,000, than it is to take $350,000 card, which had sold for 350, I think, before he said that, and take it to 700. I mean, that's on that particular card, it's a bit of a stretch, but I see people do it in the other one. But yeah, obviously, people who are influencers, especially, if they have inventory and give price predictions, will in some way, depending on the type of influence they have, impact the price. It's
human nature.
It's going to happen.
Right?
It's just going to happen.
I just want to say too that, when you use the yokels comment, that was actually really insightful for me, because, we see these comps and we think, okay, the Jordan's now worth 720. Well, that's great and all, but the reason why it might not be worth 720, or the next series of cards might not sell for 720, is because the guys that were willing to pay 720, maybe they now have their copies. So the true the true value of the next series of Jordans to sell would be the guys that didn't win. What was their high bid? The guys that were the underbidders that didn't win those 2, 3, or 4 copies. And maybe that's why we saw them decrease in I won't say decrease in value, but that's why we saw the next comps lower in the $500,000 range, down to 4. People get, as supply comes out, and as Card Porn let me know, which I want to thank Card Porn for straightening me out on this, because I wasn't sure, says that the demand meets supply quote was from Putnam Cards. So credit Putnam Cards where credit is due. I did like that quote. But, it's those people who didn't get it the first time. They were priced out at 720. They're buying it at 5 whatever. Comps are, comps to me are not true values of the cards. Move on a go forward basis. It's instructive. It's indicative of what they last sold for, but really it's the underbidder that I think sets the new value that we can refer to when we're looking at what's going to come next.
Yeah, I mean, look, my personal opinion is, I think the 500 range is a long-term sustainable range for the Fleer PSA 10, which, for a card that is produced in that type of quantity, is a tremendous price. But Jordan is the GOAT. Jordan is the most collectible athlete in the world. It is worldwide. There are definitely 300 people in the world who would spend $500,000 on that card. And once enough of them change hands in that 475, 525 range, once enough of them change hands, that's when perhaps it can go up and maybe hit $1 million. But yeah, there has to be a churn. To me, again, there has to be a churn. It's not like one day, to me, we're not like one day just 500 and then boom, the next sale is $1 million. It's an unnatural spike that is going to lead to excess selling, just like a stock would.
And I think that's why you said you want to see it stay at that $500,000 level until the end of the year, so that we can kind of get that support, or that foundation of
building a base, just like they say in stocks. Building a base. Yep.
Exactly. Columbia Hobby says, I 100% agree with your opinion on Nat Turner. PSA is going to run the show very soon. I thought that was going to go to when you mentioned that PSA, if they come out with a new designation, Are you saying that something's in the works? Do you know something's in the works, or are you just speculating?
I'm speculating. I mean, they're good businessmen. They see. I don't think. Look, everybody's jealous. Everybody has. Everybody has a. Looks out at the other competitors and say, "Damn it, I don't. Everyone wants to get records. I mean, if you don't think that PSA and Beckett are competitive when they're, the different prices set, yeah. I mean, if I'm PSA, I'm going to say, yeah, we want to do something so that people don't value a black label higher than they do a PSA 10. And right now, people value a black label higher than they do a PSA 10. So that's something that I would do. That's something that I've spoken to other dealers, and other dealers who are tuned in, have told me they've heard that, down the road, something like that's going to come. Look, let's face it, right now, what PSA has to do? They got to grade 10 million cards and get them the hell back to customers who are waiting. That's what PSA has to do right now, and that is and should be their primary focus. But down the road, I think you're going to see a lot of things that the hobbyists are really going to like, and that is going to be a value add for collectors who use their service, as well as a big boost to people who have inventory.
Are you, with the new platform coming by the end of Q2, are you are you ready for the influx that you may be faced with, and so that you don't get into some of the similar situations that some other companies in the hobby have faced recently?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, we actually, I'm very responsive on email. I mean, I like read the info emails. If I don't see them respond to, I respond to people myself. I mean, like legit may respond to someone sending an email at 2 a.m. asking, saying that they haven't gotten their order. I'll say, when did you order? I'll look up their name or something like that for them. On the forums, I, direct message people and say, hey, because I don't know their name, I say, give me your name and, give me your name, give me your email so I can look it up and try and get your order bumped to the top. And I know I'm going to say this stuff, and people are going to bury me trying to help them. So please don't do that. But so we had COVID. Okay, the office, we went a full year without a thing, and we had a case where my controller and my assistant controller, we both were out with COVID. I literally had one guy in the hospital. We had 2/3 of the staff out. Luckily, I didn't get it. I've been vaccinated, but I still, if they say you can catch it, I didn't get it. But, so it really backed up our shipping. And for the first time, we were getting shipping complaints because, we typically, if an auction closes on a Sunday and people wire us Monday, we ship those orders on Monday. That's normally what it is. And if they pay by credit card on Monday, it takes 24 hours to process. We ship those orders on a Tuesday. That's always been our habit. So I don't like seeing this. It annoys me. I want people to know I get good service. So yeah, no, I will not allow that to happen. I will make sure if our capacity is to ship 1,000 orders a day, then we're not going to sell more than 1,000 orders a day. If our capacity is 600 orders a day, we are not going to sell more than 600 items in a day. I mean, it just not going to freaking happen. I mean, it's simple business. You cannot. I mean, you don't see McDonald's selling 15,000 burgers per restaurant when they can only make 5,000, do you? And tell the other people, well, you can come back tomorrow for your burger. It just can't happen. It can't happen in any business. I know it happens in our industry. It's shocking it happens in our industry. All those companies need to fix themselves, but it will not happen at Goldin Auctions. We will not, under any circumstance, commit to do something that we can't, satisfy.
Okay. I like to hear that. 23 Aaron says, Ken is accurate. He's replied to many of my emails sent to the main Goldin email address. Amazing customer service. And I mean, I'll say, I send you emails, and it's like before I hit send, you've responded back to me. So yep. you are quick on the trigger when it comes to your emails for sure. There's a couple of questions that have passed. I'm not going to bring them up because I'm not going to go searching for them right now, but they have to do with non-PSA, BGS, and SGC cards on your platform. I heard you say on a live that some of the newcomers like HGA and CSG, you're gonna wait until you allow them on the platform until they have a track record. What's your current position on that?
The track record is not in 3 months. A track record is not in 6 months. A track record is not in 2 years. Well, maybe in 2 years. Basically, there've been a lot of grading companies. People say, well, this one does comics, this one does this. I don't care. I am older than most people in here. Most people watching. I've been around a lot longer. So I've seen some of the grading companies that started with the best biz person. This grading company started with the two founders of PSA, and they started with the first graders of PSA, and they were fine for a couple of years, and then they went to dog poop. And they started grading bad cards, and they started authenticating bad autographs, and they started grading trim cards. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with anybody, but I want to see what happens with price, because I don't want to auction. And the other thing is, I'm very, very, very concerned about price manipulation. And I'm going to tell you, it's happening. It's going to happen. You put out ABC Grading Company. They put 10 cards out in the marketplace, whether it's the owners of the company, whether it's investors in the company, whether it's people who bought their inventory, there is an incentive to run up prices, especially on eBay, where it's easy to run up prices, to make people think that an ABC graded card of LeBron in a 9 is just as valuable as a PSA graded card. And anybody who thinks that, you're a friggin' idiot. It's just not going to happen. That cannot happen in 3 months. It cannot happen in 6 months. It cannot happen in 2 years. PSA has been around for over 25 years, building their track record. How are they going to handle if the card's quote unquote altered? How are they going to deal with that? How are they going to handle if there's a counterfeit card, or if they misgrade a card? How are they going to handle the damage? What is their set registry going to look like? What are their price comparisons going to look like? Fine. So LeBron James card, when it was the first one graded or the second one graded, sold, I'm going to use simple math, sold for $100. When it's the 1,000th one graded, is it going to sell for $100, or is it going to sell for $10? Because only a small percentage, only a very, very, very small percentage of people want their card in that holder. So if you have a big card, whether it's an early 20th century card, whether it's a 1950s card, whether it's an 86 card, whether it's a 2003 card or a 2021 card, okay, and you send it to one of these companies without a track record, and again, a track record is not they grade comics well. A track record is they've been grading trading cards with historical patterns of sports cards, showing what they go for multiple years. If you do that, you are flushing your money down the toilet, in my opinion. If you simply want a cheap slab for your base 2021 Prism, because you don't want to wait 6 months, you don't want to pay, fine, then get a cheap slab. But you're using it for cards of significance, you are literally flushing money down the toilet. And if you buy those cards, I apologize, but you have me on the show to be honest, and
I do.
that's it is what I'm saying.
That's
why
again,
it's I run PSA, I run BGS, I run SGC. You said that people want to see stuff, so I'm like looking at an order now. So this is some stuff I gotta send out to PSA.
Oh, I love that one right there.
I'll go back. There it is.
That's the 53.
These are for those of you who saw the great find I made when I pulled over my car on the turnpike, and I did it in my office and showed these are some of the cards from the find. There's a second 53 maze. So all of these are heading. Oh, look at this baby.
Yeah, gorgeous.
So and then I got where the heck's the mantles? PSA. Okay, here we go. So what is this? So I've got little stickums in here. My staff puts down. So okay, what's going to PSA? What's going to SGC? We don't send 1950s cards back. I send modern basketball all day long the bucket. But let's see. Here we go. Is this the mantle? It says Berra. Maze, that's off center. It would be great. Unfortunately, there you go. Look at the color on that card. That's the money shot right there.
Oh, wow.
Look at the deep color. That's a card that literally somebody took care of. They put in the binder, and it didn't see the light of day for many, many, many years. So as we're talking about grading companies, and I know you said, hey, are there any cards that you can show?
There we go.
Yeah.
Very nice. So let me ask you this, or can I then infer that your advice to the hobby right now is to wait for the PSAs, the BGSs, and the SGCs to kind of get through their backlog? Are you saying be patient with these companies and wait to send your cards to them before sending them to any other company? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Well, first of all, SGC doesn't have a backlog, right?
Okay.
I mean, SGC, so, I know for a fact. I mean, I was down there recently. They don't have a backlog. They're shipping orders in 30 days. PSA, if you have higher end cards, they're going to get you your cards fast if you use one of the express services. BGS, same thing. If you use an express service, those companies are honoring the express service fees. So that is, that is something that they are doing. But yeah, no, I mean, if you just want a card protected, fine. But put in a penny sleeve, put in a card saver as well. That protects it until they slow down. I think you're going to see a lot of news coming out this year on these companies clearing up, doing moving mountains to clear up their backlog. I only have a couple minutes left. What is your hot topic for me? I know people wanted to see some stuff, and I've got a few things I can show as well.
Let's run through a couple of questions, because I know we're getting to the end of your time. So the first one is, how do you decide what there's been some grails that have been sort of buried deep in some of the auctions. How do you decide what gets premier? But keep it quick, because I got like 5 questions still for you.
Basically, we'll typically pick a top 25, and after that, we will typically go in chronological order by year. So if something happens to be the 50th best card in the auction, and it is it's a 2016 card, it's going to be with the other 2016 cards. It's not, if we're not quote unquote burying it, we're putting with all the 2016 cards.
Perfect. Logical and answer to the question. Thank you for that clarity. I think a lot of people will appreciate that. What can the card manufacturers do to improve the hobby?
They can make it less confusing. They can make it more accessible. They can open up to more direct accounts. I don't want to hear, people tell me I got a card store I can't get. Open up to more direct accounts and do more direct selling. Rely less on the base. And listen, here's the other thing they can do. They can put out a quality product that when you open it up and you go to get the cards graded right out of the pack, they're all 9s and 10s. Eminence was an abortion. I'm sorry. Anybody who spent that type of money on that product and tried to get it graded, you shouldn't have an encased card that's going to grade a 7 at best. So worry about your quality control.
What can beyond turnaround times, what can the grading companies do to improve the hobby?
Beyond turnaround time, understand the hobby's concern. First and foremost, when a card comes in, make sure it's identified properly, and make sure have some way of quickly measuring it. I think that if whether it's AI or something else, that every card is a standard size, and anything that's not a standard size, you kick off to the side and let somebody else worry about it, was a manufacturing defect or not. But I think that detecting those things right at the start will make people comfortable, and I don't know if they're ever going to be more transparent on, to me, many 9s to me look like they could be 10s. Many 8s look like they could be 9s. Many 7s look like they should be 5s. So I'd say consistency, transparency, and really make the consumer feel that when you are buying a card in their holder, it's the right card. It's authentic. It's all original. And stand behind your product. Okay.
And what may or may not be my last question, very quickly, you're out there now, Ken, you've been out there for a while, CNBC, all the news outlets, your Instagram live, your marketing strategy, you as the face of Goldin auctions, you as a lot of people consider the face of the hobby right now. How are you managing your image with all the attention on you and on the hobby?
By nature, I am very, very, very competitive, and I can be very blunt. And I'm actually trying now, especially since I had vocal cord surgery in February, talking too loud and yelling. So I'm trying to make sure that I don't knee jerk, that I don't immediately knee jerk, that I give some thought when something comes up before I respond. As far as an image, yeah, I recognize it. It's like amazing to me. The DMs I get is like amazing. People saying you're inspiration. People in their 20s and 30s saying, after I did the investment deal, they see, because obviously Mark Cuban, Shark Tank is like the biggest name. I showed this to my parents so they understood what I did. I understand what I do for a living. You've given, affirmation. I mean, all these things. One people saying, thank you for leading the movement. I'm like, what movement am I leading? But I recognize that it is a responsibility, and I am at this point a very, very important voice. I mean, I would agree with you. Probably you've got people like Steve Aoki and Gary Vaynerchuk and other people who have other professions, that they're more well known than me. But as far as people who have done this in their entire life and this is their job, I probably am the most well known person. So it is a responsibility, and I realize now more than maybe I did 3 months ago that I have to be careful what I say. I need to not make, unless it's like an April Fool's joke, about Juan Uribe or something. I need to not make jokes because some people may not know I'm kidding and they may take it seriously. But it is a big responsibility, and also really, I'm the cheerleader for the hobby. I mean, like, I'm going to be on Fox Business, and when I go on, I don't just go on and talk about Goldin auctions. I go on and I talk about the business. So I'll be on Fox Business. My next TV appearance will be this Monday at 11:45 a.m. Eastern time on Varney & Company. But yeah, I need to be the cheerleader for the hobby, and I also need to make sure that, to the best of my ability, the industry steers clear of any negativity.
I got to ask you this in a few short sentences. Your thoughts on the impact of Topps going public again?
I think it's great. I think it's going to be a lot of transparency. I think that some of the sports leagues are going to be under pressure. I'd love nothing better than to see Topps basketball license. If that's what comes out of this, I mean, look, I think every one of your viewers, and maybe like, I mean, I actually haven't been able to see the comments, but I think that if Topps was putting out Topps Chrome again, it would just be absolutely awesome. I think that we'll be able to see, for a large degree, their production numbers, which will be great. We're going to see some transparency, and they probably know that. There probably will be a push to make more. When you're public, you have more of a push to hit numbers. So there is going to be more of a push to hit numbers. But I think it's really good. I think it's good for the hobby that they have something that is public. And hold on one second.
Yeah.
I'm off in 2 seconds, Jen. My wife called
me. What's the next big thing we're going to hear from Ken Goldin?
I think the next big thing is going to be what the new Goldin auctions is going to be able to offer. When we have the platform up and ready, what the platform is going to be able to do, and how that will enable us to have a significantly larger reach throughout the world.
My final question: when can we have you back on the show?
When you see something that is newsworthy and say, "Oh my God, I got to talk to him about that," let me do that. The other thing, well, you know what? I am building a studio in my basement, so I can actually go down there, because right now I'm one level below the my bedroom. I want to get 2, and once I do that, then I'll be more accessible. The 10 o'clock lives, or my wife doesn't love them.
And I'm sorry we start so late. Once my kids get older, we'll start earlier. I promise. Okay. All right, man. Listen, thank you, Ken, so much. Your transparency, your raw honesty. I appreciate it. I know in the comments people appreciate it too. Get out of here, man. You're good.
Have a good one. Good night, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ken.
Bye.
All right, everybody. So, hey, that was awesome. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in with Ken. And I got to say, if I didn't get to your questions, your comments, I apologize. I'm sorry to Dawadin. I just couldn't ask him what the real price of the Jerry Rice PSA 10 is. There's some other questions I just did not get to, and I do apologize for that. But listen, this show, we're going to wrap this up right away here. Thanks again to Ken Goldin. That was awesome. I appreciate everybody in the comments. Strong viewership. I'll let everybody know I'm going to be ending this one right away. And then in about 9 minutes time, Chase Rhymes is going to join me on After Hours, brand new broadcast. Check it out from the YouTube channel. That'll be going live again in about 9 minutes. and we will debrief the episode we just had. I actually tasked Chase with picking out a few tidbits from the show with Ken so we can get into them, debrief the episode a little bit, dive into a couple of subjects. Then we're going to learn a bit about Chase Rhymes, his approach. He's a sophisticated collector, investor in the hobby, someone that I spent a lot of time with on Clubhouse, talking about these things. So that's it for now, guys. Let me just say thanks for tuning in. If you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe. I appreciate it. Again, bringing you the best guests in hobby content, and I intend to continue doing so. So I thank you all for tuning in. I'll be back in about 10 minutes with Chase Rhymes on After Hours, and look forward to seeing you all next Saturday as well with Eric Doty, is the CEO of Loop the app. He'll be joining me next Saturday. I'm excited to learn about that. And to everyone with these final comments coming in, I see them. I thank you all, every single one of you. This was another fun show. That's it, guys.